Yeah.
But do you want to defend it or not so much?
It's not about. Oh, sorry.
But hang on, if he's not going to defend it, then we should move on probably.
Well, let's see. I mean, does he need to defend that or just cosmology in general? Because they obviously.
Well, I'm kind of interested in debating that argument. Are you not a fan of that argument or no?
Honestly, since you're asking me a personal opinion, Phil, there are many arguments. There's the Kalam one in its various facets.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, I don't look at it that way. Yeah. What I would look at is there is.
Because you won't pick it up.
Sorry. Will that interfere with that other one? Sorry.
It looks like a newscast.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. You see, at the end of the day, to me, okay, we are trying to answer a particular question, as human beings, what would that question be, For me, it was, okay, you know what, I'm seeing everything around me, yes, and it does seem to suggest to me that something has brought all this together, so I look at everything, I study what I think I ought to study, and I come to a conclusion, Now, whatever one wants to say, no problem. But to me, anything that we are going to discuss ought to be based on a reasonable assessment of whatever evidence is available for that subject matter. So, to me, as when I was discussing it with the brother here, we discussed quite a few issues, and to me, there is nothing that has been said to me which, in effect, removes the need, I won't use the word need, removes the idea of the existence of a creator. That's my position. Now, there are many arguments, as you mentioned one, there are many arguments, but those arguments have got their own pros and cons, as it were. And to me, the central question is, okay, is there anything that in any way precludes the idea of a creator? Well, I have come to the conclusion that at this point in time, the answer is no.
I mean, you could rephrase that and say, are there mysteries in the universe? Things that we don't know. And that's certainly true. There are things that we don't know. And it may well be, there'll always be things we don't know, because maybe our brains just aren't capable of knowing all the answers to all the questions. So in that sense, you could say, well, any mystery is something where I'm going to invoke the need for a creator, right? But that wouldn't really be very strong evidence for that creator, or certainly any particular properties for that creator. It would just say, look, there's a mystery there and we don't know the answer. But it doesn't, just because I don't know the answer, it doesn't follow from that you do, right? Or the theist does, right? So yes, you're right to say there are still mysteries in the universe. But to me, that just means there are things we don't know. It doesn't follow that I don't know something like, what was the origin of the expansion of the universe or whatever. It doesn't follow from that there has to be a God who is omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, and so on.
Well, actually, respectfully, I didn't even mention any mysteries. You introduced
No, I think what I'm saying is, what you said was...
No. You see, because that translates into the God of the gaps issue. No, I never said that. What I did say is, I don't see anything in the form of reasonable assessment of evidence which precludes the idea of a creator. Now, when you say they are mysteries, I totally agree. We define them as mysteries, or we call them mysteries, because at this moment in time, we do not possess the necessary information to be able to formulate a reasonable conclusion, which is not a problem. I am not talking about things that I have not been able to decipher. I'm talking about the things that I have been able to decipher, and on that basis have formulated a conclusion. So, as an example...
Well, hang on, so we were supposed to... Rob was hoping to set up discussion about this issue of the origin of the universe, the Kalam and the Big Bang.
No?
No, if you don't want to, you don't want to talk about that.
No, I have no problem.
Okay, so people have claimed that the Big Bang is evidence of God. Is that your position or not?
No, I don't. Like I said, you see, when you are talking about the Big Bang being evidence for the Creator, okay, I will say I will look at it this way. The Big Bang is evidence of something. Is it of a creator?
Yeah.
I would submit the answer is possibly yes. Yeah. Is it evidence for an accidental sort of coming into being of a universe? There's a probable answer. Yes, maybe. My view is that if I look at the creation or the universe coming into being, okay, I have to ask that necessary question. Okay, I know about it now. How did it come into being? That's a reasonable question.
Yeah.
Yeah? If we are going to say, well, do we know about every necessary property to establish definitively what the answer is, me and you will have to agree the answer is no.
Right. Okay.
We agree. Okay?
Okay.
But
So you think that Kalam is a bad argument, then?
Well,
or no? Or a good argument?
honestly,
Just trying to clarify.
I will tell you, you know, when you look at it, the way I see it, yeah, it has got an idea.
Yeah.
Yes? But does the evidence support the idea?
Yes.
I am looking at it from that perspective.
Okay.
You see, like
And what's your conclusion? It does or it does not?
My conclusion is open at this point, but what I would say is this. What I would say is this. According to the evidence that I have seen, okay, it clearly supports the idea of a creator. The beginning,
why?
if I can, the beginning of the universe, okay, is just an event that occurred. Yeah? We are discussing about an event which we are not privy to objectively, but we are basing our answers on the little bits of information that we do have. Yeah? Now, as I said, you know, when you asked me, well, is there a point of discussing? I made it very clear. Yeah? When you talk about arguments, I am looking at them and thinking, right, what does it actually say? What does the argument actually say? Yeah? You look at that. Yeah? Okay, the universe had to come into existence. Whatever it is, I am saying, wait a minute, why don't we address the evidence that is readily available for us to be able to formulate a conclusion on, rather than looking at evidence based on an idea, a thought experiment, I call it, yes? And base everything on that. So when you earlier on mentioned the idea of there are many mysteries, yeah? I'm saying, look, that's exactly what we are doing here when we talk about the cosmological argument. Yeah? I'm saying, look, are we not privy to evidence which will bring us to the
But
same
you say there's an
answer?
evidence that leads to a creator, but what?
Yeah, I'm saying that.
I haven't heard what the chain of argument that you're making is. So can you make it?
Yeah, of course.
So we can assess it.
To me, it is simple. Okay. I look at myself. Yeah. And the way I operate, gives me that conclusion that there has to be someone or something that designed this. Yeah. I don't look at speculative elements, okay, because they are there. Yeah. But I look at myself. I look at the incredible ability that I have to what we would call rationalize. Yeah. Only on that basis I can say yes, there is a creator. Yeah. So to me, my argument is.
So basically, you're saying a design argument. So essentially, what you're saying.
You see, the word design has its own connotation.
Okay, but that is the word you used, right?
No.
Was it not? Did you not use the word design?
No, I said a creator.
Sorry,
I said
thought
a
you said
creator.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I said if I look at myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, if I look at that, I said to you, okay, if I use the word designer, and there's nothing wrong with using it, but it does have its connotation. You see, as an example, am I badly designed? Well, depending on the definition of design, I would say yes, badly designed. Yeah? Oh, because, okay, what do you say about the guy who has deformed legs? What do you say about X, Y, and Z? I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at something further than that. The ability that I seem to have possessed, or I seem to possess, gives me a clear indication that, look, there is no way I came about as a result of what we would commonly call an accident or a coming together of particles, atoms in such a particular way that
But no one is suggesting that you're your
No, I'm
design.
saying-
I mean, I guess now we're coming into a completely different argument. So I don't know if you want to.
Not at all.
Try. We are because this is a
Why?
theological argument and not a.
Well, no, you
This
see,
is fine. I mean, it's okay.
Respectfully,
right? No, hang on. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Sorry. I did, but- okay. The design argument, obviously, a very different argument to the cosmological argument. Okay. So we've shifted grounds to what we were supposed to be talking about. So I don't know.
I'm happy with that. If you want to go ahead, if you don't, that's okay.
Well, I'd rather, talk about the cosmological argument because the design one is everyone. I'm happy to, I mean, we can do the design if you want, but that was the plan, right, Rob?
Yeah.
So do you want to get someone that wants to do the cosmological argument? Or?
Yeah, I'll find somebody else there. He's just in the conversation.
That's fine. All right, so let's.
If you want to do the
I can do that in the meantime, but
Yeah.
that was the plan, right? So, okay.
Andy, can I
Right, so.
that is fine.
just come and hold the camera for
yeah.
me? Just keep the two of them in shot. There's the picture there.
Oh, right.
No one's claiming that your design is an accident, right? Obviously, evolution is not purely a chance mechanism. It has a chance mechanism in it, but it also has a non-chance mechanism, which is selection, right? And there are other factors like genetic drift and so on and so forth. So I don't think anyone's suggesting that your atoms just assembled by a chance process into you. But nevertheless, you can be a non-chance process without a designer, right? I mean, selection is not a conscious designer, but it's not a purely chance process either. So I think you're creating a false dichotomy there.
Based on the assumption that you look at it the way you just did. Right, let's look at it. You see, when you use certain words, they mean a certain thing. Yeah? You talk about selection.
Yeah.
What do you mean exactly when you use the word selection?
Well, there's different types of selection. There's traditional natural selection, there's sexual selection, and so on.
And what does that prove?
What it proves, I don't like to use the word prove, because I think proof should only be in
What the
mathematics.
evidence currently tells
sure.
us. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, all right, colloquial word proof is that you can have something that is not chance, or not entirely chance, and not design either. Such as selection.
No. The word is being applied to a certain action. Am I right?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by the question.
Okay. Right.
To me, that question is too vague to answer.
Not to worry. When you talk about selection,
Yeah.
sexual or otherwise, okay, there is a premise you are building that information on. Yeah? What would that premise be?
The premise is that there are selective processes in nature that will create complicated structures without a designer, without a conscious designer.
Right. Now, if you were to give me some definitive evidence of what you just said,
Yeah.
what would it be?
So, well, I mean, I think there's lots of good evidence that, for example, humans and chimps share a common ancestor. I think the chromosome 2 fusion is a good piece of evidence. Are you familiar with that one, right? You can look at the distribution of pseudogenes. You can look at the fact that island populations have...
Sorry, Phil, can I just ask you, when you used chromosome 2, what makes it evidence?
Well, it's a prediction of the theory. The theory makes a prediction, and the observations match the prediction.
Right, okay. Now, if we look at it from that perspective, we can then say that safely we can go back. Yeah? And this is a question I've asked many friends of mine that I've conversed with. Yes? Because at the end of the day, when you look at evidence, that evidence must give you enough information to be able to formulate a reasonable conclusion. That's what I said.
Right, and
Okay?
the reasonable conclusion is that design is not the only alternative to chance.
No. That after you have assessed the evidence. So, if we look at the evidence, you look at chromosome 2. What is it that they saw to determine that this is the predictive element of the evidence? What was it?
They saw that the telomeres in the middle, the telomeres on the edge of the chromosome, well, both the telomeres telomeres at the end of the chromosome have fused and are now in the position where the centromeres should be, and they've swapped around, so the telomeres are now, you know, like if that's normally the centromere here, now you've got a telomere here, you've got centromeres here and here. So I can probably make sense in my head.
Don't worry, I can do it.
I can show you a picture. You know what it looks like.
Yeah, of course I can.
Okay, I guess it's being filmed, so people who watch this may not know.
Okay, no problem.
So I could maybe show a picture. Let's see.
Can you see? Yeah, there it is. Which camera?
Okay, so who wants to see this?
One camera there.
I don't know if you can see this.
You can see.
It might be a bit too much screen there.
Can you see any shine?
I probably can't see that. All right, so
not to worry.
They probably can't pick up the screen. So if for the viewers, I guess. So if you imagine the human body has chromosomes on it, so the prediction of evolution is that there's a chromosome fusion site, and so if you imagine chromosomes have on the end telomeres, and let's say in the middle are centromeres, let's say my elbows, normally they're in the middle, so if they fuse together, the telomeres now are in the middle, and the centromeres are here and here. So the prediction is there'll be this extra chromosome, and they found it, chromosome number 2. It's published in a paper in Greenhouse back in '91, and there have been subsequent studies. The chimp genome, when they did the sequence of the chimp genome sequence, they reported back, they found very powerful evidence for human evolution. So the theory predicted that they would fuse together, and there's a way to test whether they did or not. You look for the telomere in the middle and you find it.
Right, okay. What does it prove though?
Well, that is evidence that the theory is correct, because if a theory makes predictions that are very specific, that don't have a lot of wiggle room, they're not made in poetic language, they're very specific, you go and look in the data and you find that the data matches what the theory predicted, you would find that's strong evidence that the theory is true.
Right, okay. If you look at that example, I ask a question, and this is what I ask myself. Yeah? You have got the idea that there was a branching that took place. Okay? The branching took place from a particular ancestor in time. Yeah? When, for example, we take chromosome 2, okay? If you go backward, before the fusion occurred, would you say that whatever happened after was just as a result of chance?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, I don't know in that particular case, but generally speaking, the way that evolution works is a combination of chance and selection. So you will have chance. Some of the elements of evolution are chance, i.e. genetic mutations are chance. However, the selective pressures that are acting on whether those mutations propagate through the population, they are not chance. They are they're selection. But it's not design and it's not chance. It's neither.
You see, Phil, it's not design and it's not chance. It is selection. When we use the word selection, is it a comparison between either or to select?
Well, there may be more than there's more than two options. I mean, it's more than two options. Yeah, it could be. I mean, obviously you're selecting on a genetic, different traits. So it has to extend to the phenotype, presumably. So you're selecting for traits.
Is it extending to the phenotype, or is it the other way around when selection is taking place?
Well, the selection is on as I understand it. I'm not an evolutionary biologist,
right? Okay.
So I can only tell you what I understand. Is that the selection is for the gene, but if it's not expressed in a phenotype, then the selection pressure will not work.
Right. Does
that make sense?
I know what you mean. Although it's a bit, I'll tell you what. Okay. The selection pressure. We are looking at. Think about this. We want to try and rationalize. There is a particular entity, that requires a change in it because of its surroundings. Question: is the ability of that particular entity, does it have the ability already present to be able to allow it to make the necessary changes to adapt to the outside surroundings?
So you're saying are mutations prior to selection, of course. Yeah.
If you look at mutations, okay, we know that when we use the word mutation, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is going to do what we think it can do. Yeah, 99% of the time, what do mutations do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Are they more destructive or more constructive?
I'd say neither. Most mutations do virtually nothing.
Right. When we say they do nothing, what is?
In terms of the phenotype.
Right. Let's look at it this way.
Right.
Like I said.
So for those that don't know, what we mean when we say genotype and phenotype, we should probably explain those terms.
Yeah.
So if you think of me as a set of genes, that's the genotype, right? If you look at, whether I got 5 fingers, those sorts of things, that's the phenotype. So explain what those terms mean, right?
Right, okay. But the question is, when that takes place, I am asking you again, does, as you said, the makeup, the internal makeup, does it possess the necessary flexibility to be able to allow the change to take place?
Yes.
Now, is that as a result of external pressures based on an intelligent assessment? I use the word intelligent. Intelligent assessment, or is it blind?
As far as I can see, it's not. When you say, clarify your question, right? Are you saying that it's directed by some intelligence? Is that your question?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying
then what is
we
the question?
No, I asked the question, it is how you want the result. You see, to me it is simple. Even if I were to say to you, okay, external pressures, necessitated a change in a particular animal, let's say, okay? No problem. What I am asking is that did that animal already possess the necessary flexibility within its code to be able to undergo that change?
Of course.
Was that from the beginning, or was it added after?
What do you mean by the
when
beginning?
We say beginning,
what do you mean by the beginning?
A single mechanism, okay? You have got a single cellular mechanism, yeah?
I'm not sure what you mean by a single cellular
Well,
mechanism.
let me tell you this. If we say, how did life begin? How did it begin?
I don't know.
Do anybody know? We don't know. But let's say there is we had organisms that started, okay? Somewhere along the line they became multicellular ones. Yeah.
Well, hang on. Multicellular would be way down the line.
Yeah.
Way down the line.
We are
from the origin.
Yes. Not a problem.
They would be very far away from each other.
Now the question is.
What's happening, Rob?
I've got somebody.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
But that's okay.
Ready or wait?
Ready?
Okay. Great chatting to you.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Cheers.